Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of un-RIVETED, a Dakota Customs original. I'm your host, Travis Feist, and with me, as always, is Rob McLeod.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
I think spring's kind of finally in the air.
Yes, I think.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I know. Was it last week they were talking about possibly another one of those stupid Colorado lows coming through? But I think we ditched that. I think we're good.
I think they just got so used to forecasting those on a bi-weekly basis. They just had it scheduled. We're going to forecast a blizzard, and they just it's hardly as.
I'm a firm believer. I think with our, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but with our meteorologists out there, I think they can just say anything they want, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's like
they're kind of playing with our emotions.
I think so too. I think it's on a personal level.
Yeah, it's like the last few winters were so dry. It's like finally they kind of got a platform to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't appreciate it at all, honestly.
No, but I'm ready for this to be over, and I'm glad that the sun at least is kind of starting to peak out. The snow is starting to go away a little bit, and we are starting to see nicer weather, I guess I should say. It's not the best, but it's a lot better than what we've been getting.
Kind of makes the feeling fully sink in when we're not looking at 14-foot snowdrifts everywhere. So it's like, okay, this is for real.
Mm-hmm. And when you drive around, you can see everything's melting. So I'm in it. That's good. Let's get it gone.
Yeah.
Bike season, we're getting there. It's time to get it out.
To trade in our 1 tons for some half tons with all the potholes and like it's bad.
Yeah, we're finding that out too.
It's like
ridiculous.
Drive the truck, you might as well just drive it straight to the chiropractor.
Yeah. So, with that, we got nicer weather coming up. Hopefully, it's been a lot of motorcycles out there on the road. Last week we had Lonnie Birch from the Abate. He was here talking to us about the Abate courses and getting registered and stuff like that, and taking some of the classes, the different classes, and he was running us through all that, how it works and what Abate is all about, and even to become a member, we talked about that too, that you don't even have to have a motorcycle to be a member or want to be a member, because it all goes to a great cause anyways. And I think with that, with talking and stuff, and even previously before when we had our conversations last year, even when we had Lonnie on our show too, that if people know me, I have a secret friend that I talk highly about. And her name is Janet Frost with the Abate, and we got to have her on our show today. And thanks, Janet, for surprising me and coming in and saying hi.
Not just having her on, it was a full-on, like, you didn't know she was going to be here, and now she's here.
Yeah, so it's great. And I don't get to see much of you, Janet. Yeah, it was an honor to have you at our show and be able to come in here. And if anybody knows Janet or with the Abate, you're very involved with the Abate. You do a lot with the Abate. And it's not only even the Abate. Like, we'll get in later on the show. You help even with the Jack Daniels organization, or used
when
to.
When there's promotional opportunities, that is beneficial for both parties.
Correct.
And definitely within our community. Absolutely. I'm all on board for that.
Yeah.
And it's been 24, we were trying to figure out 24 or 25 years of investigating new angles, how to approach people, how to get them involved with Abate, and know that it's not just those goofy bikers that just decide to ride down the roads. There's more to it.
Right.
And that not even, as you alluded to, do you need to have a motorcycle to participate in Abate? I volunteered for Abate for probably 5 years and was a member for that, and those times, and never had even been on what I would call a motorcycle. The closest I ever got was a mini bike, and my dad was so mad I was grounded for a month. So it was like, well, guess what, Dad? when Mom and Dad passed away, I told my family, I said, I know I'm supposed to do something really positive with this little bit of inheritance. So I'm buying myself a bike.
There you go. Absolutely.
And every time I got on it, I would smile and I'd look up to heaven, and because Mom and Dad passed away a year of each other, and I look up to heaven and I smile and I said, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad, because you just made me the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
You know?
And they don't have to worry about nothing anymore either.
Right.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, you know, but remember up in Minot, they what they call puppy dog coolie. And we would, some of our friends had the mini bikes, and I do not know anything but wide open. And so I'm going up and down those hills. And of course, I'm a tomboy, so I have to show the boys in the neighborhood up. I can't, take any slide from them. So, yeah, my dad was right. He probably was smart and saved me many broken bones because I was not that responsible and probably felt like I had more to prove. And when you ever have that on your chip on your shoulder like that,
Right.
it's not the right reason to ride.
No.
So, he was right. So thanks, Dad. But yeah.
And I think like anything too, when we're younger, it's you brush it off, you're fearless.
Yeah.
It's you don't think about stuff, but as you get older, and then you realize, your recovery, it seems to hurt more when you're older. Plus, you're paying for your own insurance. So, like, you got the cost for everything. So you start second guessing stuff. So it's probably a blessing that you got your motorcycle now versus when you did when you were younger.
I think the age thing has a lot to do with it. I know I refer back to snowmobiling a lot because it kind of is in the same realm. But it's like before, it's like when we were coming back from the mountains, it didn't matter. I wanted to be the best rider in the group at all costs at the end of the week. And now it's like, man, my sled's in one piece. I'm not that banged up. That's a win.
Yeah.
Where when I was like 22 and 23, if I was the best rider that weekend, that was a win at all costs. And sometimes I'd come back banged up or my sled was totaled. And so now it's crazy what, even.
Isn't it weird though? Like I feel the same way because I used to be an avid snowmobiler too.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And
it's a big competition.
It is, and I have
egos a lot.
I have like 1 or 2 years on you, and ish. And the thing is, like I can totally recall. I mean, I remember back even when in my 20s, it's a lot different than your 20s. The sleds were even different, but it was the same thing too. When you went out there, like, hey, people are watching me.
Right.
How can I put on the best show? I'm gonna prove myself. And you go out there and you act like an idiot, but you're trying to make that statement. And no matter what cost, the wrecks. I mean, I've got broken bones. I've broke my nose. I've wrecked sleds. Everything's snowmobiling. Yeah. But it was like so worth it because people had a story and they like they remember that thing. And now when you go out there, you're like, you pick the people that you can have the greatest amount of time with. Yep. The trip takes longer because now you just go out. It's more of the trip. It's not where before we would drive all night as fast as we could to get out there. Now it's like before I gave it up, like it didn't matter. We left whenever we wanted to. We took our time getting out there. We stopped if we were hungry. Like the whole atmosphere changed.
Yeah, it does.
It did. And then when we went out there, it was like leisure riding. I mean, we still rode, but nothing crazy.
Right.
And then we'd get back to the cabin. We felt better.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like. You still had your stories.
Oh, but the stories were different. But
they're still.
Yeah, because now when you sit back, instead of talking about wrecking your sled, it's going to be like, hey, do you remember when we were doing this and it was something funny or a joke? But the stories are different, but it's crazy how it changes. Just the same snowmobiling, but completely two different parts of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like the first 6 years I started snowmobiling, I totaled 4 sleds. My last 6 years, I haven't totaled a single sled. So it's like, that age. It's like, and also, the attitude on what kind of fun you're having, it changes. It's like,
you don't have anything. You're not set out to prove something.
Right.
It makes a whole world of difference. It makes a difference on, like, for your snowmobiling, also your riding ability. Because if you're just riding to go out and prove something, you're missing the point completely.
Right.
And that's really what happens with that maturity level. Like you guys are talking about it, and I was too, run and gun, let's go, and let's be as devious as we can.
Yep.
And now it's more like, hey, man, this is cool. Did you look at that? Did you see this?
Yeah.
I mean, now your eyes are open to the scenery around you.
Appreciate it from on a simpler basis.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
I
awesome.
Think, and I think so. Motorcycles the same way too.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, even when we were younger, it was like you just asked around if there's an empty spot. Can I go with? I mean, it was about just going and riding in the mountains. Now it's like when you want to go, or back then before I gave it up, it was, hey, let's ask this guy and this guy and this guy. They weren't the best riders, but they were the funniest guys to hang out with.
Yeah.
And more likely,
The camaraderie.
Yeah, it wasn't. They were probably by far not the best riders at all, but they were the best company. So those are the guys that you grab and throw in the truck and make that. And riding motorcycles the same way too.
Yeah.
Like before, it was just like anybody that wanted to ride, you just, hey, can I ride with, just to be a part of it? But now it's like you pick your group, you pick the people you want to hang with that are kind of on the same mind state as you, that you can leisure it.
The same thing with group rides. How many times have y'all been on a ride? And all of a sudden you realize that the people that are in your buffer zone do not have the skill sets to ride in a group.
Right.
The best thing you can do is get out of that situation, go to the back of the pack, and just enjoy the ride. I mean, I was on a ride a number of years ago, and we were on interstate. And the worst thing you can do on interstate is go 45, 55. Oh, now we're 70. Now we're back to 55. You got these semis barreling down on you.
They don't like to slow down.
They don't. Well, and they can't judge what that is.
Nor can they slow down very easily.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I'm like absolutely hollering at these guys around me. Dude, seriously, this semi is on our tails.
Yeah.
We can't ride like this. So Frosty and I just looked at Frosty and I said, I'm out. And we pulled off onto an off-ramp. And when we got into where the stop was, the first thing I did is I went up to those four guys and I said, what were you thinking? Are you serious? You got more people to think about than yourselves on this run, because you go down, it's a domino.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to play with trucks.
No.
I did that when I was a kid. I had a blast. I had the best sandbox.
Yeah,
I had every
way
darn
different.
truck in the sun,
Time and
under
place
the
for it.
sun. But, not now, not live, not like you said, and it hurts more.
Yeah, it does.
It's mindful of your surroundings and realizing that you're not the only cat on a bike anymore. And everything you do has a trickle down, has a responsibility effect. And if we could just get that out, and some of our, even, as we'll say, mature riders, some of them are still numbskulls. They don't get it yet, so it takes a little while for some people to get it. But once they do, it's like, dang, you know what? I really enjoyed that ride. I really enjoyed being able to hang out with a whole group and knowing everybody had skill sets that were able to ride, and that it was not going to end up in an unfortunate situation, so it's just crazy.
Yeah, they can get dangerous real quick, even just in like the lightest of situations. You got to treat everything with a lot of weight when you're on two wheels.
Absolutely. Know your bearings. I mean, if you want to ride side by side because it is cool, it looks like ballet going down the highway. We've all seen it, and we've seen the brothers and sisters. I'm not trying to leave us out, but that do know how to ride, and they do know, and they have spent many hours riding together, so they know their bearings. But if you don't, and you're in this fine little orchestrated ballet, get the heck out, because that person could clip you with one peg, with one handle, and that's going to send you. And there's no recovery from a contact like that. The recovery is something's going to get scratched up. And we know we value our chrome more than our skin.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and,
and
the thing that, even on that too, just to add, it's not only just that part of it, but something could fall off their bike.
Yeah.
I know a couple of years ago I was involved in a situation, not personally, but in a domino effect, I got involved that there was a family run and it was up for a benefit. And there was probably, I think, like 20 people that were involved in this. And one of the riders up front, it wasn't, I don't know if it was the very front one, but this person was towards the front and their bag fell off going down the
good Lord.
interstate.
Yep.
And it ended up taking out 4 other riders because when that one swerved, the other one swerved for the biker, and it was a domino effect, and 4 people ended up getting hurt on the deal.
Yep.
And so again, it's just not only that, but you got to have enough cushion or enough space that if something would happen like that, that you can react.
Your stagger ride gives you that buffer. We can never preach it enough. T-clock.
Mm-hmm.
You check your bike out before you ride, for crying out loud. I think some of us that have been around the block once or twice realize the importance of that a little bit more because we grew up with shovels. Shovels would vibrate the heck out of anything. They were awesome.
Loosen everything up, yeah.
But, I mean, I was on the bike behind Dale Frosty that one time, and next thing you know, I'm looking and his mirror is just wobbling. And so I'm tapping him because I was a passenger at that point. And he's like, oh, so he just reaches over, unscrews the mirror, hands it back to me. And I'm holding on to this dang mirror until we can get to a stop. But what if, just that little mirror falling off, which I don't know anybody that hasn't had something fall off a shovel along the line. Now the new bikes and how they're built and their precision, it still needs to be checked out.
It still can happen. And even at a bike shop like us, and I don't know if it's more because I ride bike or because of the shop, the aspect of the mechanics of it, but you'd be surprised how many bikes come in the shop, and it's right away, it's like a bad habit for me. The first thing I do is I check the tire. And you'd be surprised 9 out of 10 times low on air pressure. And then you fill it and you tell them, you're like, well, can't you tell it's wearing funny? You ever check your air pressure? And everyone, you get that weird, like,
they
I suppose never. And they get on and ride. And it's like, man, you should always and you can tell if it's wearing funny or something, always check your air pressure. But
check your pressure, check your tread depth.
Yeah.
When you've seen it. We're not running slicks like a doggone race car.
Right.
Please look at your tires. There was a couple of people that posted last year that went down to Sturgis, and they posted a photo of their tire, their rear tire. I was all over that stuff because that tire was like a slick. It was like, are you kidding me? And you rode they weren't from this area. They rode probably 700 miles on that. You could see the thread in there.
Jeez.
It was ridiculous.
That's scary.
That's the only thing keeping you up.
Yeah.
You better pay attention.
It's funny, me and my buddy were talking just recently, and he has a brand new 23 lowrider, and so he's got brand new tires front and rear. I was like, honestly, Ethan, you should be the only guy out riding right now because you got a brand new tire up front and a brand new tire in the rear. And with the way these roads are, you should be the only person that should think about riding because everyone else, it's like if you're not on a brand new bike, you don't have brand new tires.
You're not looking at your tires either because you're so eager, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I got the ice off the driveway. I can get out of the garage. No, that bike has been sitting there. It'd be like taking a 6-month nap and thinking you're going to go be a rock star at a concert. You ain't going to do it. It's not going to happen.
Well, if you do, it ain't going to look pretty. That's for sure.
You're going to dance like Julia Dreyfus on the TV on Seinfeld when she danced awkward that one time. That would be you. Oh, God, please do it, Travis.
That's why.
That would be funny.
That's why I don't run.
yeah.
It's not a good scene at all. So yeah,
At least you got a good reason not to run.
yeah, that is a good reason not to run. And you know, and I get it too, because I mean we're all getting cabin fever. I mean, this winter's been ridiculous. It's so long, and I get it. I mean I do. I'm in your shoes. I feel you. I know you want to get out. I know you want to ride. We're itching. Trust me. I see my bike sitting there too, and it's hard for me to not jump on it and go. But it's like if you are, take the precautions, be smart, do a double check on your bike, check everything. It's a once over, and it may take a few minutes, but it could save you thousands of dollars, or you know,
and
getting
even
hurt.
if you do plan on taking your bike out and you've been driving around the town and the city, as of recently, there's definitely good roads to ride on. There's definitely roads that you should not be riding your bike on.
Absolutely.
Right now. For one road, River Road, do not take your bike down that road right
I've
now.
heard
It's
horrible.
terrible.
Between all the water and all the snow melting, draining down it, and with how beat up it got from the winter, but yeah, just take a second thought on, you know, even just it's as simple as riding around the town. Just plan your trip a little bit, because there's some roads you could easily, you know.
You could drop a front end in some
bend
of
the
those
wheel
potholes.
and then there
there goes your wheel.
Yeah.
So Tuesday night, I went out and rode, and we were coming down 9th Street, and looks like the city was doing some, they were filling in some potholes, but there was a pile of what they were using that they just left. And if I wasn't looking, I probably would have jackknifed my bike into it.
Yeah.
So like, you should always be extremely aware when you're riding, but right now, 100%, 110% eyes on what is in front of you.
You are ultra perceptive right now. The other thing that I would like to throw in there is that, you know, daylight riding right now is your best bet.
Yeah.
One is the fact that we know that people are not used to seeing motorcycles on the roads yet. And even with that, our footprint is smaller. So it's not necessarily an issue that they're not paying attention. It's just that we're not used to being on. They're not used to having us there.
And they're not used to looking for us.
They're not looking for us. And then on top of it, with the roads the way they are, that will change. The road temperature changes everything for you. Mm-hmm. So you can go out at noon and enjoy a great afternoon ride, but please get in and park it because of two factors: the road temperature, as well as visuality through people being able to see you when it comes to dusk. Mm-hmm. The other part of that is for you being able to see those potential road hazards.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're there, and they haven't had a chance to clean the roads up yet, which, how could they?
Right.
We've had snow like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's not anybody's fault. It's us. It's up to us then to be ultra cautious and be prepared.
Yeah, be responsible.
Yeah, we're making the decision to go out and ride. Well, all that weight, it's on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've been super busy at the shop. There's days it's probably overwhelming, but we are busy. We have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of projects. The days are flying by, and you know, not very often can we just get to step away and kind of just take a breather and come over and be able to visit and just talk. You know, it doesn't have to be about something specific, but just, you know, just reminisce and visit about stuff, to just kind of take a breather from what we got going on at the shop. And with that, kind of like I was going to bring up, so you have your Minokan run coming up here in about 2 months. June.
Yeah, second weekend in June. Yeah. It's our 48th year of doing the Minokan Grove Rally.
Wow, 48?
I know.
Oh, wow. Good, great.
I could tell you, I've been there at every one of them.
Oh, wow.
But that would date me, and I'm not 48, right?
No,
Full of it.
not even close.
But the 48th annual Minokan Grove Rally is June 9, 10, 11. And it's just that old home week. It started out actually as a celebration party from when we were able to successfully enforce positive legislation and for motorcyclists. So it was kind of like, yeah, man, we did something. There's grassroots movements everywhere in the world. But when the bikers can get together and unite, we really have a strong voice. And we've got all kinds of walks of life that is represented. I mean, riding motorcycle is the best release. It's so much fun.
Yes.
So, it started as a celebration. It stayed a celebration. It's a gathering of brotherhood and sisterhood and friends that probably you see once a year. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like seeing you today. I haven't been able to see you, Trav.
Right.
And it's like, hey, buddy,
Yeah.
how you doing? It's the same type of feeling. You just get that warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of cool because then you kick back. And you actually do, as you referred to, take the time to sit down and say, hey, brother, how's it going? Mm-hmm. And what's been new with you? And, what great rides are you going on? And, you get to have those conversations that, unfortunately, it seems like all of our lives are so busy. Mm-hmm. We're just on a fast merry-go-round. And sometimes we just got to put that foot down and take that breather, like you said, and actually have a conversation. And are you solving the world's problems? Maybe not, but you know what? It's fun to try.
Yeah.
And
it feels good to be able to, just put everything else on pause. Even I get a kick out of coming over and doing the podcast for several reasons, but it kind of breaks up my day and it gets me in a different mindset. And
kind of feel refreshed after it, right?
It does, yeah. And I think even with that whole Minokan Grove thing too, it's the same thing that you can leave and leave town, leave everything, drive. What is 10? What is Minokan?
13 miles
13
east.
miles, yeah.
Yep.
13 miles and get to chill out all weekend and hang, visit, and just take in some entertainment. And you're close from home. With some of us, I mean, if you're locally, you're close from home, so you don't have to travel hours to do this. But it's where a lot of people get together. Like you say, you see once in a year, and you get to visit and everything else. And it is good to. I've been to a few of them. Yeah. I get it. It is you get to see a lot of people that you might see a couple at the bike shows or a bike run or something like that. But it seems like at the Grove, you get to see a lot. I mean, that's where a lot of them come together, and you can see them at once. And
you have that time.
Yeah,
you have that time to sit on the picnic table or sit on the truck tailgate and shoot the breeze. And hopefully the weather is nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. We've sat out there when it was pouring down rain as well, and still had a really great time. In fact, we built moats around the campfires. What the heck?
Yeah.
And we were all looking at things of how to craft a boat, like we were back in the kid days, You'd take and make a boat going to float down the river, But you just make do with what you got. Yep. And it is just so chill and a lot of fun. Good music. This year we have Frantic Anarchy and Fully Loaded playing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to those guys coming out and having fun. And of course, the biker rodeo games, that's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
There are some that are make you just crack up, and others it's a standing challenge. I think if we didn't do the doorknob race, we would have several people not happy because it is like a trophy going back and forth through over the years. It's very competitive, that doorknob race. It's fun. And it's fun to watch that because it's all in good spirit. It gives you an opportunity, like we said, just decompress, do what you please. You're not being judged. It's like, hey, man,
Right.
It's all an adult party and whatever.
Right.
You know?
And you don't have to be an abate member to be out there. You don't have to
Yeah,
have
you do.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That one is. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Because if it's not a private party, all kinds of legalities come into play. So we had tried the open gate for a couple of years, and honestly, there wasn't that many people that were coming in that weren't members. And unfortunately, those that were, oh man, I had to babysit them little twerps. Because, you know, they don't have the same respect level.
Right.
And that's one thing that's so cool, is that you know darn well you can put a diamond ring in your tent and it'll be there come Sunday, because nobody's going to mess with it. Well, when you get some of these folks that come in that don't understand that, you know, they are not welcome.
Right. Because I think the first year I came out there, I wondered, because I'm almost positive I don't think you were a member out there.
Probably
I
not
think,
that one. Yeah.
I think the first time, because
Yeah.
if I recall some of the people I was hanging with out there, I was pretty sure was not an abate member. But I think the couple years after that, when I was out there, I think, that was a big thing out there.
And actually, our members asked us to close it back to members only, because then they knew, for the most part, they might not know you, but they know you get the culture.
Right.
They know that you understand that there's a respect level. So it's, you know, it's $35 for the weekend.
Right.
Well, what the world? You bring in your own beverages. You can bring in your own food, or if you don't want to, we have full service bar. We have food vendors. We have product vendors. I mean, pretty much anything you want, you can do. So for $35 for the weekend, that's pretty inexpensive entertainment, especially when you know you're going to be hanging out with some of the coolest folks in this tri-state area. You know, an abate membership is $25 a year.
Right.
So, you know, with that, you get a monthly newsletter that comes out, and very informative as far as what's going on in the motorcycle rights and safety world, as well as the calendar of events. You kind of get familiar with some of the organizations and clubs in our community, so you feel a little bit more comfortable going and attending some of their rides and some of their events. So, you know, $25 for 12 publications, plus anywhere you go in the nation, you show them your abate card, you get in as an abate member. So a lot of people like to go down to Iowa for the big rally over the 4th.
Sure, yep.
You have to. And you have to be an abate member, SMRO, which is State Motorcycle Rights Organization. So, you know, North Dakota, you're welcome. You get in as if you were one of theirs. So that's the way the abates work across the nation. We're all independent, but we all work together. And so it's $25 is nothing for you to do that. Plus, it ensures where we're at with legislation, because we watch a lot on legislation, motorcycle rights, motorcycle safety, and we try to keep our members very informed on what is happening. So it really is pocket change.
And I remember, too, I think quite a few years ago, correct me, my brain. But anyways, weren't they trying to pass something with loud exhaust? I remember quite a few years ago, and I know like abate stepped up, and we did a petition, and you guys
we are still,
legislate and fought it and stood up for us. So again, for that $25 for you guys to do something like that, and
even your seat height, handlebar bar.
Yep, that was another one. The helmet law. I think
helmet.
too.
The EPA came down and said, "Oh, motorcycles, they're terrible. They make too much noise." Well, you know, we challenged that and we won, because you cannot, with ambient noise, a motorcycle out on the street running with ambient noise, you cannot get an accurate reading. So that was the basis on what we went to court and won, basically because there was no way to control the environment. So, we still have issues. We've got a huge one that's coming down, and that's on federal government. You guys have seen that they're basically wanting to do away with internal combustion engines and motorcycles. Guess what they run? They run fuel.
Yeah.
They don't want us. And that is a major fight right now. It is happening in Europe. Europe has already banned when you can ride your motorcycle, what days, what times. In different parts of Europe. And it's people go, well, that's Europe. Well, historically, what happens in Europe only takes a couple years to get to the U.S.
Right.
And then people say, well, it won't happen here. I got one word, and that's California. Look what's going on in California. Newsom's already banned all the small engines. Minnesota is joining that fight. If you don't think it's coming, it's next door.
Yeah.
So now it's like, all right, we know what the overall agenda is. Basically, overall agenda is do away with motorcycles. One, there's less crashes. There's less injury claims. There's less insurance issues. So the people look at that and they go, oh, we're going to save you. Well, I don't need saving. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm responsible.
Right. If you want to save me, let me ride my bike.
Yeah, please. So, it's right now with the way proposed legislation is and the climate is setting us up to have all EV motorcycles by 2035. I don't know about you, but remember, I'm still a young kid. So I plan on living.
Yeah.
And, I'll be retired. So at that point, I want to ride.
Even more.
Even more.
Yeah. I'm not working 7 days a week. So what the world? I want to ride.
Yeah. Keep Dale working, though.
Yeah, there you go. But so that's the big issue we have right now that we are fighting. And it's a matter now of what do we do with that? Are motorcycles going to be grandfathered in? The ones that we have currently? And if not, what happens to all of our beautiful machines? Good Lord. Remember the Cash for Clunkers program? Mm-hmm. That was a prelude to what this is. That was a test the waters prelude to what is happening now. And with that, then, okay, are our motorcycles going to be grandfathered in? And if so, at what cost? What cost is that fuel going to be? Are we going to be $49 a gallon? Well, you say that's crazy. Well, you've seen other things go on in the world that you thought never would.
Right. And I think what's going to happen is it's not so much it's actual gas that's going to be expensive. It's going to be the tax that they put on it.
Yep.
That it's like, if you're going to ride, we're going to tax you. Even when you go to license
your
bike,
license,
it's going to cost you money.
Your insurance
to own it, and that's what they're going to get you. And they're going to make you, well, if you want, you're going to pay for it one way or the other. And it's sad to think that, but I'm sure something like that is probably going to happen sooner or later. Hopefully,
they're working
way
on
later.
it.
Yeah.
But even if it's way later, Travis,
it's still gonna.
We got grandkids.
That's right. Well,
You don't.
Well, no.
I do. I can't
do.
remember.
Yeah, Rob, do you?
No.
But even still, can you imagine telling your grandkids that we didn't do anything? And you can look at Grandpa's beautiful pan sitting in the garage, but that's all you can do. You can never ride it, even though it's mechanically sound to ride. Mm-hmm. That would be just the worst scenario that we could imagine. So we need to be prepared, be educated, and say, wait a minute, we're still American citizens. We still have a voice. Mm-hmm. So let's try and see what we can do with our voices.
Yeah. And I think, too, again, if, all that in a nutshell, what your yearly membership goes towards and helps. I mean, it all goes to a great cause that these people are standing up and fighting and fighting and fighting for the rights that they believe that what they believe in, and they know what's right. So instead of sitting off to the side, complaining and arguing about it and doing nothing, pay $25, become a member of a great with a bait, and look what it goes to. Everything it goes to a great cause that it's $25. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean,
it is.
You get
It
a lot
is.
for your dollar, actually, if you think about it, for that
It's
$25.
behind the scenes
Yep.
a lot of times. I mean, it's not like you're going to reach out and tangibly touch every benefit, but
But
in
there's
a
so much in the
big picture
yeah,
you
in
are.
the background. Absolutely.
Yeah, in a big
absolutely.
picture.
Yeah.
The legislation we're watching this year quite a bit because it just seemed like they would vote yes on things that were recommended no's, and they'd vote no on things that were recommended yes. It's like, man, it's an upside down world up there. I don't know if they got different water or what the world is going on, but you have to pay attention to those types of things. Even there was a talk about the bees. We always have problems with the bees on the highways.
Right.
And as motorcyclists, we don't have that much protection. So, and as we get older, many folks become allergic to them. So it is a detriment, actually, to motorcyclists. Well, just a simple little thing about moving the bee apiaries further off the road. Yes, they still can get to them, but just a little bit further off the road would give us a little bit more buffer zone again with those bees. But in this conversation about bees, it came up that a gentleman said, well, if them darn bikers would just wear helmets, they'd be protected from those bees. Seriously? That has nothing to do with the bees and the apiaries. I'm quite certain, we don't need honey to get our helmets on, But the funny thing on it is, unfortunately, how many times have you rode and had a bee go in your jacket?
Oh, yeah.
Those bees have no concern of what you're wearing for protective gear or not. And unfortunately, we had a gentleman that did have a crash. He was fully geared, helmet and all. The bee went in his helmet.
Oh.
And as a result, he was obviously distracted and had a crash. Well, so that is not the answer. It's not saving grace.
Right.
As they always say, you can't fix stupid.
Right.
Well, if you're going to be dumb, you're going to pay the price.
Right.
But if you're responsible and you're paying attention, and if you are prone to having issues with bee stings, well, then carry an EpiPen. And
Right.
how many people do on a ride? Probably about 50%, just because if they're not, they're prepared just in case something were to happen.
Right.
So, we are trying our best to be responsible. And then we have the good doers out there that says, well, we need to make them a little more safer. Well, there's not enough pillows and duct tape in the world to protect all of us.
Yeah. And it brings me to another thing when you say that, when you see people on motorcycles with shorts.
Oh.
I rode motorcycle once with shorts, and I found a bee. Never wore shorts after that. I'm telling you, it was a game changer. So when you said that, the first thing that popped in my mind, I'm like, yeah. It was almost like a case of like the movie The Millers when that kid got stung with that spider. Like, it was insane. And so you just know like what a bee sting can do all around. But yeah, it's
common sense.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be cool too, and we were only riding down to General Sibley, and it was hot. So thought, oh yeah, whatever. I'll just wear my shorts. I got down to General Sibley, and the boys were still living at home then, so we had each of the boys on back of Frosty's bike and my bike, and I looked at the boys and I said, well, that was really a dumb move. And told him, I said, you find one of your buddies here that has a car, go home, get me some pants. I am not riding home without them because, man, just even the heat that comes off of those motors. Yeah. You're already a hot day, and now you're sitting there scorching your leg. You think that doesn't distract you?
Yeah. And I think that ride bike, I think we all have scar wounds that show either hot exhaust or something. I mean, yeah, it's inevitable.
It happens.
Yeah. So I got to kind of tell a story here. So, and I've mentioned this a few times since our first podcast with Lonnie, that we actually tried, I think, to get you, and then obviously it was redirected to Lonnie. Yeah. And so I met you, Janet, about, I think it was about 21 years ago. I remember you come in, you were talking to us or talking to me about just help, not push, but just direct for the abate, hand out literature to do what we can. You were just introducing yourself, being friendly, that you are. And at the time, and it's crazy, but when you first start a business, it just seems like you get overflocked with every sales rep from every radio, TV, like they want your business, every bank, and like it just gets overwhelming. And the first thing is, I'm like, God, another one of you, like it just, like whatever. And I took your stuff and I set it out to the side. I'm like, just another typical salesperson. And I think it was like a couple months you stopped back in just to see, if we were handing out brochures and stuff. And I do believe, I apologize, but I think I lied and said, I think we handed them out, but I think I just tucked them out.
You tossed them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I know you.
So then I think it was the following year you came back again, and I'm like, God, what is with this person? Like, she's so insistent,
she's so
persistent,
annoying.
But I'm like, I'll give her a shot, because you always came in. You were never pushy, but you were so friendly. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hear her out. So I'm like, whatever. I'll do it. I'll help out. I'll do the thing. Hand out the brochures, and I think you had like registration little cards or something that you could fill out. And then I think it was maybe that year, the year after, you were like, we should, take a course. Yeah, I don't know. I've been riding bike for years. I don't need no stinking course.
Yeah, you do.
And I did. I boycotted it, and finally I'm like, you know what? Just I think out of respect, and I think it's just like one day I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the abate class and go through it, and so I did. I joined up, and I took the beginner's class, not the advanced, the start class, and and I remember. So I showed up, we did the whole introduction stuff, and you got to remember, like, this was a few years ago, and we get out and we get the bikes, and for I don't know if you were actually, I think you were helping. It was on a Saturday, because I don't think you were really teaching them.
No, I don't teach, but a lot of times I'm there working.
Yep. So you were out on the course, and we were sitting there, and we were doing the whole rocking thing, and I'm being a jerk and being sarcastic, and I'm like making noises and kind of making fun of the whole deal. And I remember I looked over, and you had your hands on your hip, and you kind of like gave me that look, and I was like,
damn.
Yeah, I'm like, well, whatever. So I'm still goofing off, and I'm over here like it's like you're supposed to be serious, but I'm thinking like, I've been riding for years. Like, this is child's play. Yeah,
you know it all.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is no big deal. So I'm over there like do, and I'm rocking the thing. It's a little 250, and I'm just like being a jerk. And I look over, and the look on your face, and you shook your finger at me, and you told me, knock it off. That was a game changer for me. I'm like, I see her, like the look on her face, and the only thing I could picture was like, what happened to the Janet that came in with the lovely smile and so nice, and the look on your face, and you shook your finger at me. I'm like, don't cross that line.
Yeah.
I think you're
not on her turf.
Yeah. It's like, you're messing with the wrong dog on the porch here, mister. And that, I realized, like, it was like, there's certain people that you can mess around with, and there's people, like, when you make upset, like, it's like when you get in trouble at school, and like, when your parent's going to come home, and like, this lashing's going to come out, and you're in so much trouble. Like, that's how I felt. Like, and I'm like,
hey, straightened you out, didn't I?
Instilled some fear in you.
Yeah.
And then you got your head out of your proverbial behind.
Yep.
And then you learned something.
I did. And I took so I'm like, all right, this is for real. Like, this isn't no joke. And I took the course with seriousness instead of just jerking off, just like messing around.
Yeah.
And wow, it's like, I think I respected you even more. We actually became good friends.
Yeah.
We ended up doing a lot of stuff together. We've done some Jack Daniels things together. I've always helped you, I've been involved with the debate and everything else. But I think there was a reason for that, because I feel like if you probably would have never done nothing at that point, just let me be that guy and just ignored me, we probably wouldn't have had the relationship that we do. And so I have to say, like, it's almost like, thanks for shaking your finger at me, because it's like, it made us become friends. But I'll never forget that story. Like, that's embedded into my head for life.
I was like, knock it off. You're a good guy. Quit acting like a royal poop.
Yeah.
When
that finger came out, I'm like, whoa, I crossed the line.
Off. Well, and then I remember coming into your shop, and you guys, I mean, good gosh, to see young men working so hard and having a vision. And I was so incredibly proud. I mean, you could have been my kid, and I couldn't have been more proud, because it was just the coolest thing in the world. And when I visit with businesses, it's not about coming in and being a salesperson. I'm not that. No. That's not it.
No.
It is a partnership, and it's a mutual respect. It is the fact that, listen, man, what you're doing is so super cool. And how can I help you with my connections? And we had how many conversations at the first shop? How the heck can I help you? Where can I steer you? How can I get you? Can I help you get in Donnie Smith's show? Can I help you get here? That's what the relationship is. Yep. And I want nothing with that sales type attitude. That's not the way it rolls. I get nothing out of it, and I'm kind of self-serving. I want something out of it too. Right. I want my friendship. Yep. I want to be able to walk in and say, "Hey, man, how you doing, Trev? I got this." And instead of you looking at me going, "Oh, crap, here she is again,"
right.
I want you to go, "Hey, cool, nice to see you."
Yep.
That is where we're missing things in life, is that we forget along the way. It's not always just business.
Right.
It's about relationships, respect, and business comes when you have those two items together.
Right.
And we had a lot of good times. Right. And I gave you my opinion probably more than you wanted.
Absolutely. And I do remember too, like after, when that positive incident happened, I recall, like I came to you for marketing ideas. Yep. I mean, I was pretty, new at all this stuff, and the friendship that we occurred, like you helped me, you asked me questions, I came to you, and it wasn't even stuff about the abate or the motorcycle part of it, but it was just marketing and advertising and everything. I came to you for your advice, and it was like I'm
happy to give it to you.
Yeah, so if anybody,
because we have that friendship relationship.
Yeah, and like I said, I've cherished it ever since. So if anybody knows Janet Frost, like she's one like you will never forget. She's a great friend. Yeah, so
that's so nice. Remember when we did the parade? The 4th of July parade, and we're staging area, and I got you all that photo. I looked for that photo.
Yeah.
You're such badasses on those custom bikes, man. They had a look that should have been centerfold. It was. I gotta find that photo.
I remember that.
It's so cool.
And that brings me to another one. I remember doing that about halfway through the parade. It was so hot that day.
God, yeah.
And we were actually riding those customs that we
Yeah.
had, and those things were so hot.
Yeah.
And they started pinging and knocking, and finally, I think halfway through, we ended up ditching the parade because we had to cool these things down and get off them because they were so hot. But I remember sitting on that bike just sweating
Yeah.
from the heat and not moving.
I think your
it's
bandana
yeah.
you could have took off and just wrung it out because it was like, dude,
Yeah.
you are melting.
I believe I even had frosted tips back then. And
Yeah, you were styling.
oh my God.
Such a little styling.
The good old days.
I know.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, I remember that. And it, like I said, it just the memories and everything. It's
Well, and then I come into your shop and I said, guys, I have this for the Jack event, remember?
Yeah.
And you all looked at me like, what? And it's going to cost me what? I said, trust me, you're going to want to do this. And it was very nice of you to trust me because you had a dang good time.
oh yeah.
And it brought so much more to the table for you, for us. And it's to me, again, it's a well-rounded experience. People kind of were like, why are you partnering with Jack Daniels? You're a safety organization. Well, guess what? Everything Jack Daniels has is ride responsible.
Right.
Throttles and bottles don't mix. I mean, we're a perfect partnership.
Yep.
Besides that, it is my preferred beverage.
For sure.
You know, so I'm not going to do tequila. I get stupid on tequila.
Right.
You know, so it was partnering with such a wonderful company like that, and you can go nationally with a company like that. For local shop, it was so cool. You had the Sturgis mayor and his wife.
Yeah.
And you had Jimmy Bedford, the master distiller,
Yep.
all have photos with your custom bike. Now,
Yep.
how cool is that?
Yeah, and
pretty
plus
cool.
we got signature bottles that
Yep.
that he signed, and then that Jack Daniels hood that
Yeah.
he signed. I still have it hanging in my
Yeah,
shop.
you do.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, it's those relationships and it's those partnerships. Well, so what that did is it helps further your cause, gets your name out there. I mean, however, I don't know if you guys did go down. I think you did go down to Sturgis and do the Sturgis mare ride that year.
Yeah. So I didn't go. My partner at
Oh,
the time, he
okay.
went down there. And,
Okay.
but physically, I've never been to Sturgis.
Oh, what the world?
Yeah. So
I've been a few times, but there's a lot of people.
yeah.
And of late, it's been because I go down and I help at the Jack Daniels. They do the Operation Ride Home, and it's kind of it's kind of patterned off of what we started here in North Dakota, where they do special gifts, and you get a meal, and you get to meet the master distiller or someone on that order, and it is a fundraiser. Again, they're so supportive of our military, and of course, I will always respect that. And with Operation Ride Home, that was, part of that fundraising effort. So when I asked the powers that be, hey, man, you need any help? I'd love to be a part of that.
Sure.
Heck yeah. So, I mean, honestly, the last number of years, I drove down, I parked at the Jack tent, I did the Jack event, and hung out with those guys for the day, the evening, and back home to work. So it's kind of a different Sturgis, but at the same time, there's a lot of crazies that ride down in Sturgis during Sturgis, and
Right.
I still like living. So I just don't do it as often, and I love it. But Frosty, he would absolutely be in a corner someplace because he can't deal with that many people.
Yeah.
It's just so. We'll go in the fall when the riding is beautiful and we've got the roads a little bit to ourselves anyway. So,
Well, I know that's we did last year is Rob and I and another buddy of ours got together and we went down there Labor Day weekend, I believe. And that was my first time riding down there.
Oh.
And I fell in love. And we only rode, 2.5 days. I mean, we didn't even really cover. I mean, we did cover, but not what the Deadwood, Sturgis, whole Black Hills have to offer. And I was just so like, I loved it. I was so happy. It was scenic. And I'm like, we got to do this again next year.
Yeah.
Like, we just
That was
have
a lot
to.
of fun.
It was. So I love riding down there. It was like I said, it was my first time. I'm hooked. I want to go again this year and just make it a yearly thing. And I think would I probably enjoyed it as much during the rally?
Not even close.
I think you would have experienced it differently
Yes.
with all the people, but I don't think you would have experienced out there like
It's-
out, and you would experienced right next to you because of all the people, but not
Yep.
scenically like we did over Labor Day weekend. It was so
It is such beautiful,
Beautiful.
country to
Yeah,
ride. And
it is.
there's different skill sets again
yep.
on that riding down in the hills. We get people that call, hey, I need to get into the motorcycle safety class. Oh, yeah? And especially if they say, and with urgency, like the end of June and into July. It's like, okay, you need to get in. Can I ask you what the urgency is? Well, yeah, we're going to Sturgis. What? You're doing what? You're coming, you don't even have a license. You don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but you're going to go down and ride with your 10,000 closest buddies? Are you crazy? Plus, we're flatland riders here. Now you throw curves, you throw
Elevation,
grades,
yep.
Elevation, you throw cornering.
Booze.
Oh, booze
Yeah.
and distracted. Good
Yeah.
Lord! I mean,
And skin.
some of the girls that have some beautiful outfits
Yeah.
or their lack
Their
of,
lack of, yeah.
they could be a distraction to you when you're riding. So there was a number of years it was like, oh no, you are not going to Sturgis. I feel like what you felt like on the range that day,
Yeah.
Travis, because it's like, I don't want to go mama on you.
Yeah.
But yet at the same time,
It's for the greater
doggone
good.
it. I don't even know you, but I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
We have to be smart, and you have to ride within your abilities. And if you're going to ride just to impress somebody, then you're not going to enjoy the ride, and you are definitely going to jeopardize
Yeah.
even
Other
your
people.
buddies.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I think I've told you this, Rob. Like, even when people ask me to go on to Sturgis, and I'm the same thing too. I've been riding for years. I mean, years. And the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm like, I just don't know if I want that stress. It's like you're constantly offensive and defensive driving. All the people, you're constantly looking every direction because you have to drive, defensively and everything else. And I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it.
It is stressful.
And it'd be cool to take in Sturgis itself, just to see it and be a part of that whole concept. But when people are like, yeah, we're going to go riding and everything, and it's just kind of like,
I think even when we were down there, there was that one afternoon where we went up to Rushmore, and there was obviously a lot more traffic on that road, and that was probably my least favorite part of the trip. It's like, me, it's like, I want wide open roads.
Yeah.
Like that's so. Honestly, if I never made it to the actual rally for the rest of my life, I'd probably be content.
okay?
I'd be content with that because that's not why I have a motorcycle. I have a motorcycle to twist it.
There's two levels of that thought process, and one is the party, the atmosphere, the people watching. But again, if you're really being honest with yourself, are you being a responsible motorcyclist? Because you have all those factors. That's a trifecta right there.
Right.
Setting you up, because the other part, you are so sensory overload that then how do you make the right decisions?
well, you're overwhelmed. There's a
Like-
lot going on.
And how do you
Yeah.
really, if you really want to go and ride the hills, as they say, ride the curves, ride the different road grades. Good Lord, it's like you said, the
It's intense.
open road
Yeah,
is
it's-
so much nicer when
Oh, yeah.
you've got room. Instead of, there was 1 year we did go during the rally. I think that was the only time Frosty went. He was done after one one time. Of course, we had the shovel. He had his shovel. I had my Road King at that time. But it was 103 downtown. And you know shovels and heat. It didn't work so well. So not only is he sweating bullets because he didn't know what his ride was going to do, if he was going to make it, or be in this, because you have no choice. You are in a pack. You are in a group.
Right.
And what is going to happen? Am I going to absolutely tap out on this or what? You know? And I'm just there sitting back with my old King and just casual, loving every second of it. Yeah. Until we had these guys from the East Coast, and we were up on Iron Mountain. Those guys, they have no logic, I tell you. If they were passing on the right-hand side. You do know what's on the right-hand side. It is a cliff. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I certainly am not paying attention for anybody to come up on my
definitely
right.
Not. Right.
Oh, my Lord. We got down, and we got into Keystone, and I saw the guys pulling in, and I told Frosty, I said, we're stopping. Oh, do we have to? I said, yes, we're stopping. And you know, I kind of felt like the old westerns when the swing doors open and the whistle goes on.
Yep.
Because man, I was so fixated on those two riders, and I walked up to them and basically gave them my opinion that was the dumbest move they've ever made, and that may I suggest to them that they never do that again, because they will cut their life expectancy better than half.
For sure.
And Frosty's over there going, today's the day I get knocked out. Yeah. And it's like, no, I was respectful to him, but it was like, dang, that was so wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd say that's a case of Grandma Rose came out on that one.
Yeah, you know, it. There's just sometimes that you have to speak when people are being idiots, not only for your own safety, but for theirs. And it's the way you deliver the message. I mean, they were cool, and they were like, all right, man, that's okay. How about if we buy you a beverage? It's like, all right, we got kickstands down, we're good. And we sat there and chatted up a storm, and they're like, man, we do this all the time at home. We didn't think about it. You know, it's the same concept of Californians lane splitting. Well, definitely. My son Ty had got Dale's old shovel. So he had the shovel down in California and you would love it. He redid it, and it's just kick-ass little bobber right now. Yeah. And Dale and him were, Dale rented a bike, and Ty was used to this, and he's lane splitting, and Dale's like, whoa, we don't do that. And why are you doing that? Because, you know, somebody is not paying attention, all of a sudden they're going to not put their blinker on. They're going to go in the other lane, and you're going to be a little bug. Right. Well, Ty was like, but in this traffic, if we don't lane split, we won't get anywhere.
Right.
And so there's logic to it. And that's exactly what the East Coast guys were telling us. Man, we lane split, we pass on the right, we do this. And I go, and what are your statistics? Good Lord.
Right.
You know? So, again, it's we're not used to that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's right or wrong, it's just we're not used to that. So then when we go to a mecca like Sturgis, and now we're in the mix with everybody's different riding styles.
Right.
That is, you better be on ultra alert.
Yeah.
You know?
It can get chaotic.
It does. It does. But
have you ever seen anything crazy down there, Rob?
Like where?
In Sturgis.
I've never been there.
Oh, you've never been down there?
Never been there.
Oh, I thought you've been down there.
No, I'd say probably the craziest motorcycle get-together is the Rocky Mountain Oyster Festival in Missoula. We rode down there from Flathead, and they said it's like a mini Sturgis. And so this was like, we went down there on like setup day that wasn't even going on, and everybody was naked, and it's like, it was wild. And ate some bull testicles and yeah, had a few
And
drinks.
you have a story.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's about as much as I could say. Yes.
The
But
first time, a lot of years ago, I was working promotions and I was working for a band. And so I had my two boys. They were little, and they were supposed to not be with me that weekend. So I was going to go and work for the bands and go down to Sturgis and rip it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, heck, I had the boys. So here I am pulling into Glencoe with my little blue Escort station wagon. I mean, had to look really ridiculous. With probably, I think the boys were probably 8 and 9, something like that.
Yeah.
And they're like at the gate, "Do you have the right place, lady? Are you
lost?
Are you lost? Do you need to turn around or what?" Well, I showed them my pass, and it was quite the adventure from there on out because I had the boys, and the boys, they always grew up respectful. So the only thing is it was funny because Tyler was like, "Mom, I've never seen white chaps before." And I was laughing. I said, "Well, I would say that gentleman has a suntan from his belly button up." And Ty looks at me, "What?" And I said, "Those aren't chaps, son. He's riding bareback."
Yeah.
oh, Jesus.
It was so hilarious. And those two had such a great time. And then I'm up working with one of the bands, and Three Dog Night was playing. Mm-hmm. And Three Dog Night had their kids there, so Ty and Justin were hanging out with Three Dog Night.
Nice.
Next thing I know, I'm kind of hearing some noise up on the stage. And I go, "Oh, please God, no." Yep, sure enough. There's my boys up on Three Dog Night's drum kit.
Nice.
Boom, 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 psh, psh, and just having, I'm like, "Oh, good Lord."
Is that where you just duck your head?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, actually, they were all really cool about it because their kids were up there hanging out too.
Oh,
So, it was good. But still, it was like, "Oh, Lord, I think I'm going to melt right here." Then, so we did that gig that night. And then the next night, we went over to the Chip. I personally had never been to the Chip. And here I am with two littles at the Chip. Probably not the best parent in the world at that point. But again, we had all access, and so we were back behind the stage, so we were good. So we're hanging out with Steppenwolf and their crew, and the boys are sitting there. "So, tell me about your life." It's like, they're just looking at me like, "What? What are these little farts
kids
doing?"
are like 8.
Yeah. So then, back in those days, aluminum, like beer cans and that actually was worth some money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the boys, and I told them they were good Boy Scouts too. So they were like, "Mom, look they're just throwing those beer cans on the ground." I said, "Well, we'll get you a bag and you can pick them up,
Sure.
So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, these boys are bringing back, and then they enlisted. They're definitely my sons, because all of a sudden they got a trail of about 6 big old bikers behind them.
Recruiters.
Carrying bags of the aluminum cans. "Where would you like these, ma'am?" So I said, "Well, you can set them right here. What are you going to do with them?" I said, "Well, they earn the money. I'm going to take them into Sturgis Recycling, and then we'll let them go shopping,
Yeah.
And thank Lord, back then, there wasn't as stringent. We used to be able to ride in the back of trucks and all that. Well, here the three of us are in the front seat of my little blue Escort station wagon. We got beer cans from the ceiling to the back going into the recycling. We walked in, and oh my goodness, we reeked because, you got to travel in for it. But the boys got their money. And then I took them downtown, and they got to spend their money any way they wanted, and they walked around just like they were big men on campus, man. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
But, again, when you work relationships, your door's open.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's fun stuff. This life has brought a lot of good friendships.
Yeah.
And it's very nice because I've gotten to watch how you have progressed over the years. And like I said before, I absolutely couldn't be prouder. And I know darn well because there's a lot of people that say they can build, but they always forget to tighten things down. They forget the little mechanic things that actually to make that ride safe and sound. And I know you pay extra attention to that detail, which absolutely gives me that much more respect for you. And aside from that, damn, they're nice rides.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Your blood, sweat, and tears, and your heart, and your crew. It shows.
Yeah. Well, thanks. It's
Yeah.
and that's one thing. Like I've always said, it's never I at Dakota Customs. It's a team effort, and I believe it takes all of us to make it happen. But it means a lot that you say that. And like I said,
Yeah.
you've seen me for almost
20+ years.
20
Yep.
years, and
Yep.
there's probably a lot of stories that we could probably keep going and probably not over the air that we've all experienced and been through. But again, just you walked in my door one day and it went from a business relationship to we became friends. I got to know your husband. He's another great guy. When we go over to the Ford dealership, every time I go over there, I always have to peek my head in his little area and tell him to get to work. Great guy. I've known Dale. I've known Dale for years. I've known Dale, and I've always made it a point if I'm over there, I always go in and say hi. Great guy, great guy, great guy.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that's who you're referring to as Frosty.
Yeah.
So I was like, is that Dale over at Bill Barthides?
Yep.
Yeah. I was
Yep.
good as gold.
He's got to be pretty good to put up with me, don't you think?
Yeah.
I am a challenge.
Yeah. So,
As long
I'm
as he doesn't get the finger.
a walk in the park when it comes to you. I guess.
No, it's just, there's a right way to do things in
Yeah.
life and there's a wrong way. And if I like you, I'll show you the right way.
Yeah.
If I don't like you, you can just do the wrong way. Somebody will fix you somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it won't be me because I won't invest time.
Yeah.
Not worth it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm good with you guys.
Well, that's
Cool.
good. It's the feeling's mutual.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you, Janet, for taking the time and surprising me and coming on our show today.
It was an honor.
It was, and I'm glad because I was kind of thinking like, God, what are we going to talk about today? Because we didn't really have an itinerary on what we're going to say, and so I'm glad that when I walked in and I seen it was you, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. We're just going to shoot the breeze, talk whatever, and so thanks for doing that for me. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show and talking. One quick thing for the Minokan Run, is there a website or something that real quick we can just shout out that people can just verify the date and stuff?
AbateND.
Okay, just go right on Abate.
Yep, just
okay,
go to
check
Abate.
it out. Okay.
And then check the Abate Facebook. The other thing, too, with the motorcycle classes, they are currently, like, May is full, but we do train 7 days a week. And I try to get Lonnie to give me the schedule a couple days ahead of time so I can post on Facebook that, hey, we're going to be loading some more classes. So the other cool thing is if you like us on Facebook, not only will you get updated postings for the motorcycle classes, but you'll get updated information regarding what is going on with the motorcycle rights, motorcycle safety, and, of course, all the fun aspects such as Minokan Grove.
Okay.
And I do retire next year.
Oof.
I know.
Are you ready for that?
I am
think
ready.
You are. Yeah,
I'm ready. But I've got one more Jack event I'm going to do in April, and then I'm done. But it's such a great fundraiser for our organization that, besides that, again, I prefer it, so I might as well have one last hurrah.
There you go. Yeah, it's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Well, again, thanks, Janet. And again, if you have any comments or questions or anything on today's show or upcoming, please feel free to comment. Check us out, dakotacustoms.com, Facebook, and website. Until our next episode, thanks for listening.
Yeah, see you guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Holy cats. We gotta edit that.
Why?
Hold on.